I'm Gabe Paez, founder and CEO of The Wild. I'm super excited to be here today hosting this event. Thank you to Anne-Marie Enns and everyone at the VRARA for making this competition possible. It's been a privilege to be a part of it. I also want to thank our prize sponsors. Let's be honest, you're the real reason why the students are competing today. The winner today is going to get a Pico VR headset, a one-year subscription to The Wild, and we'll have a feature article written about them and their project in Spar 3D. So what is this student design competition, and why did we decide to do it? Well, this live streamed competition aims to celebrate the creativity of students throughout the world. We're hosting today's competition in the Wild, an immersive collaboration platform for architects and designers to experience their work together in virtual and augmented reality from anywhere in the world. We are celebrating the next generation of designers today who are pioneering a new kind of built environment. This is a global competition, an opportunity to bring students together from colleges and universities from around the world to share their work. So let's get into the details of the competition. We asked college students, what will the future of design for distanced virtual socialization look like? We asked them to design a space that encourages virtual socialization or innovative physical distancing. This could be a future workspace, an office, a public space, a lobby, entryway, a room, really any sort of utilitarian design idea. You're about to see some of the amazing creations that came from those prompts. So let's jump into the wild to meet our judges. All right, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this. First, we've got Amy Peck, founder of Endeavor VR and Senior Director of Enterprise Content at HTC Vive. Next, we've got Aubrey Tucker, AEC Committee Co-Chair for VRARA as our second judge. So to kick things off, Amy, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your time in isolation for the past few months. How have you adapted your lifestyle to confront these unique challenges?
It has been a bit of a challenge. I am typically on an airplane every other week or so. It's been both actually very refreshing to be home and in one place, a little bit challenging. The great thing was that my teammates, we were already meeting in our own collaboration platform that HTC has called Sync. But what's really been great is now we're starting to meet customers in sync, and we're getting a lot of inbound interest just in these collaborative environments in general, especially for things like design, where we are today in the wild. So I think we're headed into an exciting time in evolution, and by having so many now different kinds of users in these virtual environments, that's going to give us the information that we need to really evolve to this next evolution of collaborative spaces. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Well, thanks so much, Amy. All right, Aubrey, how about you? What themes are you hoping to see from the students in the competition today? And what do you expect to see as we emerge out of this time of COVID? What does the future of public space look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just kind of echo some of what Amy was saying. Working remotely, I think a lot of us in technology have been trying to find all of the different ways that we can connect. And one of the things that I've noticed that's kind of interesting is that there's still quite a big gap between physical kind of presence that we have in an in-person meeting and what we can do virtually. So I really think that kind of offered up a really interesting kind of intersection for this competition to think about architectural concepts and virtual landscape. So bound by different rules, gravity and materiality don't play as much. We can kind of do anything. And with that limitation removed, can we do something to kind of enhance the psychological experience of connecting in a more interesting way virtually?
Absolutely. All right, great. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. Let's get straight into our first space. I'm going to invite Misha out to teleport us. So go ahead and grab a portal, and we are going to portal into our first space. Grab each of us, and here we go. We're going to kick this off with our first student participant, Srinidhi Krishnan. She is pursuing her master's in architecture at Arizona State University and built her model in SketchUp and Lumion. Let's hear about her project, Post-COVID Workplace. Srinidhi?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk about my project, which is the post-COVID workplace. When I started working on my project, I wanted to create a space which ensures the mental and physical well-being of users while using digital and innovative techniques in social distancing. So as you can see, there are a lot of hexagonal modules which are stacked above one another. And these modules are individual office spaces through which people can interact and use software such as mixed reality to interact with their colleagues. So as we move to the interiors, we notice that there are these footprint-shaped objects, which are foot pedals. These foot pedals are used to open the individual office rooms. And as we move around the space, we can see these furniture pieces which span in multiple directions. And these seaters are kept in place so that it acts as a barrier between people, but people can still interact with each other. And then you can see a lot of courtyard spaces as well. This is to ensure that people can reconnect with nature. And there are a bit of seatings as well, so people can sit there and enjoy their break. These could act as breakout rooms. And then as we move forward, we notice that there are a lot of hand sanitizing stations which are placed in the most accessible locations so that people use it more often. And the primary means of circulation is the escalator and the staircase. The escalator is for moving upwards and the staircase is for climbing down, but still elevators could be placed just in case people find it difficult to use these. And there are a lot of planters as well, which act as railings. As we move to the above floors, we notice that there's a lot of open circulation and open spaces for interaction, but the office spaces would be restricted to within the modules. And in terms of materiality, I wanted to use materials which have antimicrobial properties, such as copper, and there's another material called sharklet, which has tiny denticles which prevent microbes from attaching onto the surface. And that is it.
That's great.
Great job.
Thank you.
So Trinity, talk to me a little bit about these workspaces, the kind of cubicle area. How do you imagine them being used?
I wanted to use them as a breakout area where people can enjoy their break periods. So it's just for interaction. It's not a working space. Most of the working area is inside those hexagonal modules.
Got it. And do you think because this is a very large space, do you think that you could increase the amount of hexagonal modules to have a larger workforce in the same footprint building?
Yes, that could be one way of dealing with it. I imagined another way of dealing with it is to have open office areas with closed cubicles, which are smaller than these large-scale office spaces. So that could ensure that the workforce is more closely knit together.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to know if I can have one of the giant vending machines in my office.
Thank you.
All right, great. Misha, if you could take us to our next space.
Okay, let's. Lounge pods.
Okay.
Next is Nicholas Peruski. He is a graduate student in the architecture program at Lawrence Technological University in Michigan and built his model in Rhino. Let's check out his project, Lounge Pods.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, everyone.
Nicholas.
Sure, I guess we'll get started. Welcome to my project, the Lounge Pods. This is a playful complex of stairs and rails, platforms, tubes, and saucer-like lounge spaces. Again, I created it in Rhino 6 modeling software and did a collection of 3D modeling operations such as manipulating circles and spheres, extruding and cutting out holes, drawing pipes. And you see from an aerial view, this space was inspired by the new social distancing circles that are painted on the grass of Domino Park in Brooklyn, New York. It's a place where people
Mm.
relax and have picnics while minimizing the spread of the virus by keeping safe distances. And after thinking about the design prompt, I thought one of the things I miss the most is casually going to a restaurant or cafe, food court, or any other hangout space to eat and work and visit with friends and family. And rather than asking, how can I design a shield or a barrier between hangout spaces, or perhaps how can I simply reorganize furniture, I thought, how can I create a sense of togetherness and connectedness through a complex of really fun movement while maintaining safe distances. So I'm going to hop in and teleport into the entrance near the red tunnel.
All right. Reach over
So
there.
I thought as these tubes as metaphors for a series of thresholds or checkpoints, as in a quarantine or disinfection scenario. So I'm zooming through the tube, and I can go up these fun stairs. And right now I'm in the teal zoom. So yeah, I just explore you to break out and explore, and you can find any cool hangout spot you'd like. From any view, you can get a sense of all the different pop color zones that are throughout the project. And find ways to peek around and wave hello to each other. And so this model is a playground of primitive shapes, tubes and circles and squares, that not only is an experimental space for real people to gather, to play and to eat and to connect, but it could also be a virtual space to organize and display work. For example, you could have like a pinup board for notes and images in one of the green pods, or you can have coworkers hang out in the teal pods, or you can form a library in the purple zone. It's total eye candy if you ask me.
Yeah, it really is.
I heard someone earlier today as we were practicing describe it as like an absolute wonderland. And you could also compare it to like Whoville or some other type of Seussian village.
It does have that.
If you go into the green tube, you'll discover there's a stairway that leads you down to the first level of a divine space. And it really celebrates having to duck and to climb and to really find some interesting spaces, lots of places to explore.
And do you
One of my
envision the orbs as like a light source, or are there? What was something very cool is as I was on the stairs and I looked through one of the circular windows, one of the orbs outside was like perfectly framed in the window, and it just had sort of a really nice kind of symmetry to it.
Absolutely, yeah. One of my favorite views is, I think that's in the purple tube. As you go down the stairs, you can, I designed one of the views to perfectly see one of the fun lollipops outside.
That's quite cool.
And just like as a small reminder to...
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the one.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a small reminder to have fun, explore your imagination, find your own quirks while separated in this quarantine situation. So yeah.
So Nicholas, did you think about how people might interact in virtual reality in this space? Because it feels really fun, and to imagine it as like a space I could walk around, but I'm also quite enjoying it in VR. So I was just curious if that had any drivers for your design.
Yeah, as I was modeling it, I definitely always make sure I go into perspective and design in that way as well, not just like in plan or like an elevation view, but make sure I get into perspective.
Cool.
I don't necessarily have a VR set of my own, so that's one of the tools that I made sure I did when I designed it. So yeah, I invite you guys to explore. Definitely a fun place, both in physical space or in VR space. And I thank you guys for organizing an event, and yeah, explore.
Yeah, great work. Really appreciate the entry.
Thank you, Nicholas. This was great. Misha, if you could gather us together, we can move over to our next space.
Great. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nicholas.
All right. There we go. Amy.
Next is Samuel Higway. He is a second-year graduate student in the architecture program at California College of the Arts in San Francisco. He built his model in 3ds Max and V-Ray. Let's visit his project, Virtual Museum.
Hello.
Hi, Samuel.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Okay. So this is where I start, right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So like you said, my name is Samuel. I'm from California College of the Art, and the idea. So we'll start with the slides over here. So over here we have the. This is my resume. So I'm a freelance 3D artist, and I'm also studying architecture as a graduate student in CCA. And due to the social distancing that's going on right now, this project has been highly inspired by the situation. And there's been a growing need for artists to be able to showcase their works because museums are closed right now. So the idea is that providing a mobile app that provides an alternative for people to be able to exhibit their artworks. So how do we achieve this? So the way we achieve this is collaborations with designers and artists. So designers who designs virtual spaces that artists can select as templates in the app and be able to upload a scanned version of their 2D art or their 3D arts. And so it has two modes. It has a creator mode, which allows artists to scan their content, and the guest mode, which allows um, guests to view the app. So the way it works is you can just rotate the camera with your thumb or simply swipe and teleport by double tapping on the screen. So here is the floor plan towards the end. And I'm going to take you into one of the sample virtual spaces that we're going to have in that app. So when you're ready, we can go inside.
Okay.
So here you can see there's exhibition. So you see some empty canvases. So these are spaces that are yet to be uploaded by artists. And then you have spaces like this where you have the red painting on my left and the black painting on the right. And you can see from the templates, there are like different grid layouts. So like you see the blue painting over there has like 3 grids. And then towards the end where you see the rope, you see the sample 3D art sculpture that could be showcased by artists. So these spaces will be conditioned for different skills of arts and different grid layouts depending on the user's interest. And the one interesting thing you'll notice is this actually goes further than the what we have in the real world, because in the real world you have restrictions such as this rope, but here in the virtual world you can actually have very close access to the 3D art like I am having right here, and you can also really view and admire the artwork. So this is actually taking art further and actually taking out some restrictions that we currently have in the real world and leveraging that to actually create something that users can enjoy. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Samuel. And do you
Amazing.
envision this as something like an environment that will just continue to expand, or is it more sort of a fleeting phase of exhibitions where they come in and they last for a period of time and then they're replaced with new artists?
So this would be this could act as like shared virtual spaces. So like you can have like 3 artists exhibiting in a space depending on the user's need. Sometimes you want several artists to showcase their work, or you can have this as your own personal space. So it's gonna be like a social media kind of thing where you can have like shared lobbies and you can have private lobbies, and
Right.
you can also create your custom made virtual spaces if you contact like
Mhm.
the virtual museum team. So this could open doors for many
That's
possibilities.
great.
Okay. Yeah, great work, Samuel.
Thank you, Samuel. That's great.
Thank you, Samuel. Misha, if you can please gather us and take us to the next space. Next, we've got Shreya Bansal. She is up very late tonight, as it is after 1 a.m. in India right now. Thank you so much for joining us so late, Shreya. Shreya is a graduate student in the Immersive Media Design program at MIT Institute of Design in Pune, India. She designed her model in SketchUp and Blender. Let's meet Shreya and her project entitled Cafe.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Shreya.
So I've designed a cafe post the COVID-19 pandemic. So restaurant industry has taken one of the biggest hit due to COVID-19, and it has lost almost about 1.9 trillions in revenues globally. And even after the lockdown opens, people would still not be preferring to go to these restaurants because of safety reasons and trust issues. And if you head out to your favorite restaurants, you would still be missing human touch because you might find yourself sitting next to a mannequin. Or you would miss your loved ones because they might be geographically located in a different place. So it's almost like the year of 1782 when the first restaurant was open and people resisted going out of their homes and eating outside food. You know what? This is the year of 2020. This is the age of technology. So this COVID-19 has changed our priorities back to physiological safety and love and belonging needs. And here it is. I propose to you a solution, a cafe that offers you to have a meal with your friend or a family from a different city, space, or a country. And so with this cafe, you could connect with your friends, enjoy live performances, have client meetings. So this idea has the potential to revive the whole restaurant industry. So I'll just take you inside my space. So as you enter the space, initially there's this whole sanitization area here. And on your left, you would see there's this whole waiting area. As you move ahead into the cafe, on your left hand side, there is booth style sitting. So what it does is it allows different sets of customers to be separated from one another. In the center, this is a privacy booth kind of a setting, and you toggle on this privacy thing. And on each and every table, there's this holographic device which would be kept. It would be gesture based. With this, you could view the menu, you could order the food, you could place your orders, you could pay the bills, and also be entertained at the same time. For example, here a person is enjoying a live music by a local artist. Here a person is having a dinner with his daughter, who must be living like 70,000 miles away. And here a person is enjoying his exclusive ticket to a comedy night stand-up show. Also, one of the very unique features about this cafe is it allows you to connect with people uh, sitting in this cafe worldwide in the same branch. Okay, so how that works is supposedly you're sitting at table number 23 here in India, and another person sitting on table number 23 anywhere around the world could actually connect with you. So this allows you to meet new people, make new friends. So coming to this space here, this is a takeout counter. So because of COVID-19, a lot of people would not prefer going out into public spaces. So a takeout counter then becomes a must for each and every cafe. So design-wise, I've tried to maintain social distancing of 6 feet according to the social distancing standards. So yeah, that's it. What this does is this whole idea not only revives the whole restaurant industry, but it also boosts the content industry. You could have a lot of exclusive in there, specially designed for cafes like this. And so you enjoy basically everything you did in a cafe before COVID-19 and a lot more. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
On these private booths, what's the point of entry if it's a physical space? The ones that are in the interior.
Yes, so it would actually be something like sliding. There would be a button that you could, with which you could toggle it on and off.
Cool.
So this
And
could be
were
the private.
Go ahead.
So the private space could be used for, special occasions or some kind of confidential meetings.
And then
Was there any thought given to the food preparation and how that process could also be more sanitized in the design?
So I'll just give you an example of a coffee machine. So when a person places an order from their menus, from the holographic devices, the order gets directly placed into the coffee machine, and the staff member just has to put a cup of coffee below the machine, and it pours automatically. So a lot of gesture-based, voice-based, and those kind of inputs would be there.
Cool.
So, and then it looks like you wanted it set up for entertainment. So where would that, like, what would be the configuration if there were a live show here?
Configuration as in?
Yeah. So were you thinking that there would be live shows here, or those would be available via the screens?
Those would be available via the screens, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Misha, if you could take us to our next space.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Adam Saleh. He is an undergraduate incoming junior student majoring in sustainable environmental design at UC Berkeley in California. He designed his model in SketchUp. Let's check out his project, Ensemble.
Hey guys. So happy you guys can be here with me today. Shall we pop in?
Yeah.
We shall.
Okay. So let me right here in this front lobby. And I'll get started. So yeah, Ensemble is all about collaboration while mitigating risk. So we have this lobby here, and I love the lobby. We have this nice green wall, and we kind of start to ask the question of like, what is Ensemble and what is the essence of this design? And Ensemble is actually a product. It's one of two products I use for the space. One of them actually being right here called HoloPoint. So what is HoloPoint? HoloPoint is a touch point of service device. And it's kind of the same thing as your Squares or Clovers of the world. You see them at your favorite cafe. But what HoloPoint does differently is it actually allows you to use and manipulate reality hologram in this pain. So uses this thing called the Pepper's Ghost effect, where you have manipulate this with a 3D depth sensor on the bezel. Allow you to do the exact same thing and do touchless. So we're mixing red of flash versus that you might see on the surface of a clover or a square that you see in your favorite cafe or store. So if you want to follow me over here, actually, I have these renders of the devices. They're a little bit higher resolution. You can see the reflection. And that's pretty integral to how these technologies work. And over here, I can actually show you the actual Ensemble device. So those are the renders on the right. But you see these little stands here. This is Ensemble. So structurally and hardware-wise, these are actually pretty similar to HoloPoint. So we're, again, using Pepper's Ghost, creating a virtual image behind this 45-degree angle pane here. And you're actually able to see a mixed reality representation of whatever you're working on. And that's kind of the whole idea behind Ensemble is how do we accompany and enhance the workflow of anyone wanting to work in this workspace. We're entering an era where a lot of people are working from home. So we see people, even Twitter, they recently said everyone can work at home indefinitely. But see, companies like Parbin and Google and other companies that have a lot of these hardware projects aren't so lucky. to be working at home, especially when we're working with tangible objects, a lot of CAD, a lot of hands-on work. And that's kind of where Ensemble comes in. We're the middleman. So we're able to have people who want to work at home, let's say parents who have kids they need to take care of, immunocompromised, elderly people, all of the sort can work from home, either from Ensemble in their home or from their computer, and they can collaborate with their colleagues seamlessly using the Ensemble platform. And that's really what we're trying to do here. But I think one of the greater things this speaks to is if they want to be in an office where they can see their colleagues. I mean, each desk is 6 feet apart, so we're still maintaining safe social distancing in this beautiful space with these ceiling, floor, windows, and this huge green wall. We really want to open up the space to be somewhere where people want to be, but if they're compromised and can't be in the workspace, they can work at home and still have that uncompromised collaboration experience. I like to think of it kind of like Google Docs for 3D modeling or any tangible 3D design. And then over here, just kind of finishing it up, you see these little offices with two entrances, one for the client, one for the engineer, architect, or designer that's using the space. And then we can have these great conversations 6 feet apart. And if there's something you want to show them, you can throw it up on the screen. So they're all sharing the same network. We're all kind of using the same core technology, and we're able to kind of manipulate any XR technology or any XR file type that's compatible with the Ensemble or the HoloPoint device. So really, there's a lot of cool dynamics to be had here. We really want to complement the workflow and make something that allows for easy digital socialization and, again, innovative social distancing. If you actually look over here, I have kind of a couple examples. My friend Will Smith over here um, is having a video conference with me. He's fully rendered out in 3D, and in a work environment, I'd be able to collaborate him on a 3D object right on my desk. It'd be projected around in my desk, kind of like how you see in this workspace here. So hopefully, you can see that Ensemble might be shaping the future of XR, and I'm excited to take this journey with you guys. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much for the presentation, Adam. This is awesome. Just so I understand, with the working on, so say I'm sitting here, I'm at the first desk station. I'm interacting with Will Smith, and we're worried about making some kind of a widget. So would I actually have the physical widget on the desk?
Yeah, so you would have a 3D representation of the widget right here on the desk through the screen. It would be represented in 3D. Obviously, it's a virtual image, so you're not actually creating a hologram. Unfortunately, right now, holograms aren't yet physically possible in the way that we see in like Star Wars, but it's kind of the same thing you see in like the Microsoft HoloLens. So we're seeing these representations through a virtual image. So you can have two cameras that are tracking your hand motion, and it's
Great.
being predicted behind that pane.
Great, got you.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam, and thank you, Will Smith.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Akshansh Chaudhary. He just graduated last week with an MFA in Design and Technology at Parsons School of Design. He originally designed this model in Tiltbrush and Unity, and then brought this model into the wild as an FBX. Let's meet him and hear about his project, Spatiality.
Hi everyone. So yeah, this is essentially a space to think about a different format of architecture and how people perceive public spaces. The way I've designed Spatiality is an experience to make people think about the importance of privacy and personal data and how it is shared. The way you see this is it's a circular or a technological data center composed of different tech companies, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, Amazon, so on and so forth, so that people can really think about how data gets created and so on and so forth. Before we dive into it, I just want to show you the outside landscape of that. The floor area is composed or created of my personal information, names of Like it's not clearly visible because of how it is designed, but it's composed of my personal information, names of my friends, places I've been to, names of so on and so forth. So again, the idea is to personalize it and think about it like that. Let's dive into this experience. So maybe you can go in the center of this experience. Okay, so yeah, hi. So immediately getting into this experience, you realize that you are in a gallery of or composed of different tech companies and technological landscape essentially. And the reason why this is designed the way it is to depict the idea of surveillance capitalism and how personal data gets shared. Again, the idea behind spatiality is not to create a very standard format of architecture, but play around with the leverage the potential of virtual reality and augmented reality to create experiences which are more offbeat and more different. So let's go over towards Facebook first, and I want to showcase that the camera mount on Facebook, as you can see here, is representative of the shady bad actor, and that's how I perceive Facebook to be. And I have created the seating space in the environment, which is composed of the likes that are created out of Facebook, and it's just an essence of how do you think about Facebook. Similar to that, Amazon has a kind of a dystopian steampunk vibe, which has a very machinic look, and you see that it is composed of devices, tissue rolls at the bottom, so on and so forth. So again, the idea is that Amazon drives people towards working and creating, and it keeps doing that, and it is like a regular process. And Instagram, on the other hand, is the social media equivalent of an attention seeker. It allows people to essentially share more information and get that attention the way they wanted to. If you see, again, the seating space is composed of the likes that you get out of Instagram. Let's go over to Apple quickly. So Apple has a seamless ethereal interface, a design that disappears. So I've designed the cuts and angles that you see. The glassy look is to showcase the transparency that the company provides with regards to privacy and personal data. And again, the seating space is composed of that. Now, Twitter, on the other hand, has a non-corporeal form, or a format that is constantly being made and remade through hashtags and mentions. You see that the seating space is again composed of the likes and retweets that is representative of Twitter. So again, the space that you're seeing, it has a different personality to it based on the company that you're looking at and the space you're in. Again, the entire idea of having these experiences is to have conversations with people around the issue of personal data and how they think about public spaces. Now let's go to the final piece, which is Google. As you can see, Google has a very overarching presence in the piece because, let's be honest, it has to. So now what you see here is the rings that are there on each and every alphabet of Google, and that is representative of the boundary or the bounding that we have towards the company. We are associated. It's like we cannot live without Google in a way. So that is what I wanted to kind of represent in the piece. And the seating space is composed of different packets or data packets that usually comprise of Google and of the internet essentially. So just going by the entire outlook of the experience, I wanted to create a space or a place where people think about personal data and have critical conversations like that. Every piece that you see here is designed differently. Facebook has a very clear dystopian look, and Google has a very realistic look. And one of the reasons why that is because as I was into COVID, as I was in self isolation, and I was sketching these designs, my perception towards privacy changed. And that is what drove me towards thinking about these public spaces as well, because what I realized was that people are more comfortable or more prone to sharing personal information in the time of this crisis. Uh, it's like self-actualization is not as important as physiological needs by Maslow's hierarchy, and that is even representative in the piece that I have created. So again, this space or this experience that you see is mostly about having conversations around privacy and the importance of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's about it. Thank you.
This is great. Yes, thank you. And in the process of making this space, it's very much a space for virtual reality of virtual reality made components. Um, did you think about multi-users sitting in here, or is this kind of more like experiential sculpture?
It is. So that's what I think. I imagine it to be multiple users sitting and having conversations similar to the way we are having now, primarily because people will have their own interpretations of the piece. Why is Apple's logo like that? Why is it not defined or derived like that specifically because it shares more data, so on and so forth? So having discussions on data is the objective of the piece. And I mean, the way I've designed it is offbeat and different, primarily to have those conversations around how do you see architecture differently? How do you create public spaces which are not the usual benches and chairs that people are used to, but more different, primarily because virtual reality and these technologies offer that creative control.
Yeah, it's amazing. Great work. Absolutely great work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Akshansh. This was amazing. I'm going to invite Misha over to take us back to the green room where the judges will deliberate. Okay, it's time to catch up with our judges. Hi there, Amy and Aubrey. I'm
Hi.
curious, so curious what you think of all these projects. Do you have some initial reactions that you can share with us, Aubrey?
Yeah, absolutely. Each of the projects were so unique, kind of in how they interpreted the design criteria, and I think each one really presented something really to consider, especially within a virtual reality and an immersive space. Starting with cafe, I actually really like the idea of restaurants having interconnectivity to each other across the world. I think one of the things that was mentioned that Table 23 in India might also be Table 23 in San Francisco, and that we could each go and meet with each other there and speak through this kind of AR slash mixed media device. I really like that concept. And then in the post-COVID workspace, I really like the idea of a modular construction that's thinking about enclosing us and having kind of safety layers built in around enclosure, kind of much more than just social distancing, but actually having full air stoppage there. And I actually just really like that as an idea to build up modular workspaces in a confined but yet kind of aesthetically appealing layout. The virtual museum was super interesting. I think museum space is definitely something that requires a lot more thought in terms of what are we going to do to activate those spaces? How can we make them safe? But then I really like the suggestion that art could be uploaded into a virtual space and you could get closer to sculpture. I thought those were all really neat. Ensemble really surprised me. That was a product that was really showcasing itself in an immersive environment. Really interesting take on the design criteria there. Lounge Pods was definitely one of my favorites right away, just because it was an architectural interpretation. It was based on the kind of park response, so it's happening in Brooklyn. I really enjoyed the kind of interpretation of geometry into a very experiential space there. And then the biggest surprise for me was spatiality. That was a really interesting take and kind of social commentary on social media, or reliance on it in COVID, and showcasing it with great metaphor in VR. Really, really neat.
What about you, Amy? Did any particular projects resonate with you, and do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with Aubrey. Again, like virtual museum where it's sort of this living, breathing kind of art collective, and you can really experience the art up close. The post-COVID workspace, I actually thought was also sort of very aesthetically pleasing, and really took into account kind of folding in sort of safety with the foot pads and the hand sanitizer stations. And of course, I loved the snacks, the giant vending machines. So one of those would go in my office. And then the cafe, again, having this kind of, again, how are we going to socialize? Like, so that's almost like creating sort of a workspace, because a lot of us are working in cafes now, but with the social and entertainment and practical element. Ensemble, again, the whole product piece was a surprise and a really interesting, smart take. Lounge Pods was kind of like my happy place. I liked sort of the Seussian style and just the whole design of it. It's a place that I would love to work in. I would feel like I would thrive in that environment. And I agree with you on spatiality. I liked the depth of the thought that went into these representations of social media and what's social and collaboration are going to mean in the future, and even those sort of showcasing Apple as being transparent, and all the objects in that space were transparent because of their transparency with data. So I don't know. It's going to be a very, very tough decision.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'll leave you guys to it. Go ahead and talk it over. I'm going to catch up with the students, and we'll meet back up when you've got a winner chosen. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining me. It's good to see you all. Thanks for presenting your projects in the wild. The judges have a hard decision ahead of them. I'm curious how each of you, how did that go for each of you, and how do you feel seeing each other's projects?
I'll chime in.
Go ahead.
Just to say, I think this is it was an awesome prompt. And I think from the other projects that I saw, I was just curious as to just how everyone was going to tackle the project differently. I think there's a lot of ways you can think about this problem critically through, how are we going to socially distance? How are we going to use digital socialization? And the way it manifests in every project was really cool. I think the scale of each project was something that I noticed that was super varied. So we had some awesome, huge, architecturally elegant projects, and then we had smaller single room projects that were a little bit more focused. So I think that was something awesome that I noticed.
Yeah, I also noticed the way different people used it, the app. Like some people, I believe someone did the sketch thing. I think if I'm correct, that everything was drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. Everything was interesting.
Yeah, Akshansh, can you tell us a little bit about that experience of bringing everything in from or moving it from
Yeah.
Tilt Brush, where you
sketched? So like Samuel mentioned, I had sketched the entire environment in Tilt Brush, which is basically sketching for VR inside VR. So I had made everything in VR itself, basically spending days inside the headset just sketching. But the experience of bringing it outside of VR or Unity was kind of challenging, because one thing I realized off the bat was the meshes and the textures don't work accurately the way they are. So I'll share the link with you guys, which is of the other experience which was made in Unity, and I tried to make it as similar to that as possible, but again, that transition was difficult. But with that said, now I had a space through the wild where I could really leverage the potential of interacting in those spaces. Like people could join in, chime in, have those discussions and conversations. I even played around with the same thing on my iPad, where you could do the AR experience, and I liked how much flexible it was now possible because of exporting it in this environment. So really like the potential of that.
Shreya, how was this experience for you?
So first of all, personally, the experience was really challenging a little bit, because I do not come from an architecture background. So nor do I know much of the 3D softwares. It was my first time building them. And so I learned watching YouTube videos, and I kind of really wanted to execute my idea to the best of my potential. And I really wanted to see how other people are going to execute and present their ideas. So what each of them has done is really amazing. So each of the ideas were really different, and they were really good.
Yeah.
Lots of self-starters here. Srinidhi, how did you get started?
Well, I didn't think I was going to participate initially, and then I came across a lot of posts. So I decided I should do something about it, because it's a huge issue which is taking place these days, and architecture is going to be so different after the post-corona world. And I noticed that everybody had such different ideas, and some of the ideas were really phenomenal. So
Absolutely.
I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. What about you, Nicholas? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this experience alone, I think each gave the six of us definitely a perspective on just the diverse way of design thinking. And yeah, I think the VR experience is something new for me, and I'll definitely take this experience with me for the rest of my career. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I also found it felt like at first I didn't realize it, but because I've worked with a few game engines, and then I realized the Wild is basically a game engine, and it's actually made it easier for me to understand how the materials and everything work. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for participating. Thanks for joining us. Let's go back to the judges as they announce the winner. Thanks. All right, we're back. Have you guys reached a decision?
We have.
We have.
All
All right,
right.
drum roll, please. It was a very hard decision, but we decided that the overall winner was spatiality.
Really
Bravo.
love. Yeah, seriously, bravo. Really loved the
Great work.
depth. Really loved that it was built in VR for VR, intended for immersive interaction in a virtual space to really contemplate what's happening right now in COVID. Really loved all of that.
Yeah. Very creative.
Well, huge congratulations to Akshansh Chaudhary, the winner of the first annual Global Student Design Competition for your project, Spatiality. His prize will be a Pico headset, a feature in Spar 3D magazine, and a 1-year subscription to The Wild. Also, let's give a congratulations to our runner-up that I believe you've chosen, and who will that be?
Lounge pods.
My happy place.
Perfect. Lounge Pods is winning a second place prize with a mention in Spar 3D magazine and a 6-month subscription to The Wild. Huge thank you to all of our participants. We will also be giving everyone a Wild hoodie and a 3-month subscription to The Wild. Thank you, students, for participating. And if you're eligible, we hope to see you back next year. To our viewers, that's all we've got for today. We hope you enjoy the first annual student design competition. Thank you, Amy and Aubrey, our judges, the VRARA for inviting us, our sponsors, Pico and Spar 3D, and the team at The Wild for putting this all together. But most of all, thank you to everyone that applied and submitted, and all of our students who participated. You're all amazing. Thank you, and check out The Wild at thewild.com and on our social media at TheWildXR. We'll look forward to seeing you all again next year. Take care. Bye.
Bravo.